I caught her red-handed in her ex's garage after hours, claiming she was helping her sister move, but she's been lying for months. When I stepped into the doorway, she actually dropped the box she was holding. It hit the concrete with a dull thud and burst open. Old video games, tangled controllers, some dusty photo frames skidding across the floor. She just stared at me, frozen, like a kid caught stealing from the cookie jar. Except it was almost midnight, and she was in her ex's oversized hoodie instead of the clothes she'd left the house in. Behind her, he was standing near a workbench, arms folded, that exact same smug half-smile I'd seen once in a picture she never thought I noticed. The garage smelled like oil, old cardboard, and that faint aftershave I knew wasn't mine. The overhead light buzzed like it was as uncomfortable as I was. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. "So this is your sister's place now?" I said, trying to keep my voice in that calm, controlled lane and not the screaming one my brain was veering toward. Her mouth opened and shut a couple of times, but no sound came out. Finally, she managed. "What are you doing here?" "Question is," I said, stepping further inside, "what are you doing here?" It was a Thursday night. Not exactly a dramatic weekend, not some big event, just Thursday. We'd been together for almost 5 years, living together for 3. I'm 30, she's 29. I'll call her Mia. I'm writing this on a throwaway because some mutuals are on Reddit and I don't feel like dealing with "OMG, is this about you guys?" text right now. I just need to get this out of my head. Anyway, rewind to earlier that same evening. I'd come home from work around 6:30. I work in IT for a small logistics company, nothing glamorous. I deal with printers that never work and people who swear I didn't touch anything when the system is clearly on fire. That kind of life. When I walked in, Mia was already dressed like she was heading out. Leggings, big sweatshirt, hair actually done, which almost never happened at night unless we were going somewhere. There was an open duffel bag by the door, half-packed. "You heading out?" I asked, kicking off my shoes. "Yeah," she said without looking at me, stuffing a pair of sneakers in the bag. My sister's finally moving the last of her stuff out of storage. She begged me to help. "I'll probably be back late." She said it the way someone might say, "I'm running to the store for milk." No eye contact. Quick. Rehearsed. I remember frowning. "Tonight? Like right now?" She shrugged. "Yeah, it's the only time she could get the van. You know how useless she is with organizing." That part was true. Her sister is a disaster with planning. But something about the whole thing felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it was the way she didn't ask if I wanted to come, just assumed I wouldn't. "You want help?" I offered. "I can come. I don't have anything going on." Her eyes flicked up at me then, too quickly. No, it's fine," she said a little too fast. "It's just clothes and random crap. Plus, she's in one of her moods. You know how she gets. You'll just get annoyed." The thing is, she wasn't wrong. Her sister can be a lot. So I let it go. "Okay," I said slowly. "Text me when you get there." "Yeah," she said. "Love you." She kissed me on the cheek, grabbed the duffel, and was out the door. That should have been the end of it. I should have just made dinner, watched some trash TV, gone to bed. But that weird itch in my brain stuck around. For months, things hadn't felt totally right with Mia. It wasn't one big fight or anything like that. It was erosion. Little bits of us wearing down. She was on her phone more, screen always tilted away from me, laughter that died the second I walked into the room. Some nights, she'd say she was exhausted and roll over as soon as we got into bed, but then I'd see that faint glow under the covers and hear the tiny taps of her typing. When I'd joke, "Texting your secret boyfriend?" she'd roll her eyes and say, "If I had the energy for another man, I'd use it to do the dishes." She started going out more, too. Drinks with the girls, work thing, helping my sister. I believed her because I didn't have a real reason not to. She'd talk about being burned by cheating in past relationships, about how she hated liars. I clung to that. Then there was him. Her ex, Leo. The ghost name that used to make her roll her eyes. I knew about him from the early days, the trauma dump stage of dating. They'd dated for years in their early 20s. On again, off again, lots of shouting and late-night door slamming. He was a walking red flag, she'd told me. But the chemistry was insane. She'd laugh when she said it, like she was older and wiser now. I'd seen one photo of him once when we'd gone to her mom's house, and her mom was showing us old albums. He was in the background of some Christmas picture, tall, shaggy hair, working class pretty in that. I fix cars and forget your birthday way. I didn't think much of him beyond that. Until a couple of months before the garage incident. We were at her mom's again for a Sunday lunch when someone casually mentioned Leo. Something about him helping her uncle with a car. Mia's face did this tiny flicker thing. Do you still talk to him? I asked on the drive home, trying to sound neutral. She shrugged. Sometimes. Like, if he's around when I'm visiting mom. It's small-town politics. You can't avoid people. Texting. I pushed. She made a face. Ew, no. Why would I? I let it go. But the seed had been planted. Back to Thursday night. She left around 7. At 7:30, she texted. At my sister's. She's already yelling LOL. Pray for me. I sent back a laughing emoji and went to throw something in the oven. Around 9, I texted again. How's it going? No response. At 9:30. You alive? Still nothing. By 10:15, that creeping unease had gone from a whisper to a shout. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she was actually lifting boxes. Maybe I was paranoid. Then her sister called. Hey, she said. Quick question. Did you borrow my blender? No. I said. Why would I have your blender? She laughed. I don't know, my brain's fried. I'm trying to pack the kitchen, and it feels like everything's disappearing. I hesitated. Wait, you're packing right now? Yeah, she said. Been at it all day? What? I swallowed hard. Is Mia there? What? No, her sister said. Was she supposed to be? I haven't seen her all week. Time slowed. I literally had to sit down on the arm of the couch. She said she was helping you move, I said carefully. Tonight. Her sister went quiet for a second. She's not here, she repeated. Do you want me to call her? No, it's fine, I said quickly. She probably got her nights mixed up. We hung up. My hand was shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone. I opened our location sharing app, something we'd set up ages ago just in case. Mia's wasn't at her sister's suburb. It was across town, near the industrial area where Leo's family has their house and workshop. You're jumping to conclusions, I told myself. Maybe she's picking something up. Maybe her sister's there. Maybe. But my body was already moving before my brain finished the sentence. I grabbed my keys, shoved my feet halfway into my slides, and left. The drive over felt unreal. Streetlights smeared past in long yellow strokes. My mind kept swinging between I'm crazy and no, this is real like a pendulum. I pulled up to the house I recognized from that one Christmas photo. The same peeling green paint, the same crooked mailbox, the same open garage at the side where light was spilling out into the driveway. Her car was parked out front. My chest went tight. I walked up the driveway, ignoring the voice in my head screaming at me to turn around and go home and pretend I never saw any of this. I got to the open garage door, and that's when I saw her and Leo, surrounded by boxes, him leaning on the bench, her holding a box and laughing at something he'd said. She wasn't helping anyone's sister. So there we were, in that ugly garage, under that buzzing strip light, with old car parts and plastic tubs stacked against the walls like some shitty stage set. Leo cleared his throat. Look, man, it's not. I held up a hand without taking my eyes off Mia. You don't get to talk to me, I said. It came out calm, but it was that type of calm you only get when you're about 5 seconds away from breaking. Mia finally found her voice. I can explain, she said. Cool, I said. Start with why you're here instead of at your sister's. She took a step toward me, hand out like she was trying to soothe a spooked animal. She canceled last minute. I was already out, and Leo texted, and he said he needed help sorting some stuff. I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd get weird about it. Get weird about you hanging out with your ex behind my back. I said, yeah, crazy of me. It's not like that, she insisted. We're just friends now. I swear. I snorted. So you lied to me, to come help your friend in his garage at 11:30 at night. Her jaw clenched. It's not a big deal, she said. That somehow pissed me off more than anything. Then why did you lie? I asked. She didn't answer. I could have yelled. I could have punched Leo. Instead, I just said, grab your stuff. We're leaving. Leo muttered something under his breath. I turned my head just enough to look at him. I'm not going to hit you, I said, even though you deserve it. But if you say one more word to me, I might change my mind. He shut up. Mia followed me to the car in silence. She tried to sit in the front seat. I unlocked only the passenger side for her and walked around without opening my own door right away. I needed a second of cold air, of space. The drive home was quiet except for her sniffling. She kept opening her mouth like she was about to say something, then closing it again. I kept my eyes on the road. Every time I smelled her perfume, my grip tightened on the steering wheel. Back at the apartment, as soon as the door shut, the words came flooding out of both of us. "Why did you lie?" I asked again. "Because you overreact," she snapped, tears already in her eyes. "You act like I'm doing something wrong just by talking to him." "You are doing something wrong," I said. "You lied about where you were. You've been lying for months, haven't you?" She hesitated. I watched about 6 different excuses rise and die behind her eyes. "We've just been hanging out," she finally said. "Catching up. It's not a big deal. We have history. It's not like we're sleeping together." "You didn't answer my question," I said. "How long?" She flinched. "A few months," she admitted. "Since before Christmas. We started talking again, and it was just nice to have someone who knew me from back when. Someone who doesn't see me as just work Mia or your girlfriend." I felt that one like a slap. "So what am I?" I asked quietly. "A prop?" "That's not what I meant," she said quickly. "You know what I mean. It's just different." "Yes," I said. "I'm sure it is." I paced the living room because my body felt like it was humming with static. "Have you kissed him?" Silence. "Mia." She stared at the floor. "Once," she said, voice barely audible. "It was stupid. We both knew it was a bad idea. We stopped." I shook my head. "Bullshit. You don't stop and then keep ending up in his garage at midnight." That opened the floodgates. She started crying harder. "Okay, more than once," she said. "We hooked up a couple of times. It wasn't planned. It just happened when we were talking, and—" "Don't you dare say it just happened," I cut in. "You don't accidentally fall into someone's mouth. Or their bed." She covered her face with her hands. "I hate myself, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I hate what I did. I didn't know how to stop. I kept telling myself it didn't mean anything, that I still love you, that he's just this chapter one never got closure on." "Closure doesn't look like this," I said. "Closure is a coffee, maybe a civil conversation. Not months of sneaking around and lying to my face." We went in circles for what felt like hours. Her saying she was confused, that seeing Leo again brought up all these old feelings about who she used to be. Me pointing out that while she was busy reconnecting with her past, I was busy paying half the rent and trusting her not to stab me in the back. She used every classic line in the cheater's handbook. "It didn't mean anything. I never stopped loving you. I was in a bad headspace. I didn't think you'd ever find out." That last one hurt the most. Eventually, when we were both wrung out and hoarse, I just said, "I can't look at you right now. I'm going to sleep in the spare room." "There's no bed in there," she said weakly. "I'll take the couch." She reached out like she was going to touch my arm, then pulled her hand back at the last second. "Please don't leave me," she whispered. "Don't throw everything away over this." "You already threw it away," I said, and walked out. Over the next few days, things got worse before they got anywhere close to better. Turns out the garage incident was just confirmation of what my gut had been whispering for months. I went through our phone bill and saw late-night calls to an unknown number, Leo's. Checked her location history and found multiple trips to his area on nights she'd sworn she was at her sister's or working late. I'm not proud of all the digging I did, but once the dam broke, I needed to know the scope of the damage. It was like having a cavity. Either ignore it and let it rot quietly, or rip your mouth open and see how deep it went. Mia didn't deny anything once confronted. She never tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. In a way, that almost made it worse because it meant she'd just been quietly choosing this, over and over, counting on me not to look too closely. She begged for another chance, suggested therapy, swore she'd never see him again, said she'd change jobs if she had to. They share some mutual contacts through her work and his. She cried constantly. The guilt looked real, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the guilt was as much about getting caught as it was about what she'd done. My friends were divided, to put it mildly. Some said, "Once a cheater, always a cheater, get out." Others reminded me we had 5 mostly good years, and that people make mistakes. My mom, who's been married for 30-plus years, surprised me by saying, "You don't have to decide right now. But don't stay because you're afraid to be alone." In the end, that last part is what stuck. I realized I was more afraid of the idea of starting over at 30 than I was hopeful about rebuilding something with a person who'd repeatedly looked at me, lied, and then climbed into bed next to me like everything was fine. About a month after the garage night, I signed a lease on a small one-bedroom across town. I told Mia I was moving out. She looked like I'd hit her. "So that's it?" she asked. "You're just giving up?" "I'm not giving up," I said. "You did that when you chose him. I'm just accepting the reality you created." She wanted to talk about possibilities, separate for a while, date again, like a fresh start, see if we could rebuild. I respected that she wanted that. I also knew I'd never be able to sit calmly on a couch again while she looked at her phone without wondering who was on the other end. We split the furniture. I took the couch, ironically, my desk, my computer, and some kitchen stuff. She kept the bed, the bookshelf, the dining table. The apartment felt weirdly empty even before I left, like some invisible string had been cut. It's been about 6 months now. My new place is objectively worse. Thinner walls, louder neighbors, a bathroom fan that sounds like it's about to fall out of the ceiling. But at least when my phone pings late at night, it's just dumb notifications, not my gut twisting in knots wondering if it's my girlfriend arranging a secret meetup. I still think about Mia, obviously. You don't just erase 5 years. Sometimes it hits me at random, like seeing a car that looks like hers or hearing a song we used to scream sing in the kitchen. There's grief there, for sure, but there's also relief. Relief that I don't have to live with that low-level anxiety anymore. Relief that I'm not ignoring my own instincts just to keep the peace. Relief that if someone I love says they're helping their sister move, I can choose to believe them or walk away, but I'm never again going to just swallow that weird feeling and hope it goes away. If there's anything I've taken from all this, it's this. That uneasy feeling? The one you shove down because you don't want to seem insecure or controlling. It's there for a reason. It might not always mean your partner's cheating, but it always means something needs to be talked about. I wish I'd spoken up more clearly the first time Mia mentioned Leo again. I wish I'd said, "This makes me uncomfortable," instead of trying to be the chill boyfriend who isn't threatened by exes. I'm not blaming myself for her choices. Those are on her, but I am learning from the ways I silenced myself. She told me she was helping her sister move. She was really standing in her ex's garage at midnight, surrounded by boxes that weren't hers, building a version of her life I was never supposed to see. Now I've seen it, and as much as it hurts, I'd rather live with that truth than keep sleeping next to a lie.